There is a very interesting question in the book of Psalms chapter 11 verse 3. It asks, when the foundations are being destroyed, what do the righteous need to do? And I want to say, this is very important for us as believers to discuss, because the foundations indeed are being destroyed, and we could mention quite a number of things. Because we live in a world, yes, created by God, and God has every good intention for it, we find that the devil is opposed to what is happening. And he destroys the foundations in different ways. Let me just give an example. There is a lot of teaching that is occultic. There is what is false teachings, just like what the Bible says, that in the last days, that there will be false teachers and false prophets. And these cultic teachings are taking away truth. And you see, society is actually founded on two things: truth, and that relates, all truth comes from God. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And the real absolute truth is of God. And so when truth is destroyed, our relationship with God is destroyed. But it's also founded on justice. And justice is to say fairness, the way we live with one another. And that's what cultic movements, because they are sponsored by the devil, ultimately it's the devil who is behind what is taught that is false. And that destroys the church, it destroys society. But that's just one of the foundations that will be destroyed. There will be also the destruction of family and society when we have values that are satanic being, passed on. We have advanced technology. The world has become a global village, and there are values that are coming from all over the world that are ungodly. They have no Christian value, and that is destroying. Not least of them is the promotion of gayism and lesbianism, what some people have called the alphabet people, LGBTQ++. And that is also destroying, so that the world, for example, is going to experience, if you are two men who are married or two women, you can have children. And we know that God, from the book of Genesis, had said that the world, the people should increase. And this is an attack on the family. We have seen also a resurgence of traditional kind of worship, where people are going back to the worship of the ancestors. What do the righteous do? The psalm shows that there are two ways that we could respond when this challenge is cast on us. And David, who is the writer of the psalm, seems to be talking of somebody who was telling him that he should run away to the mountains. In other words, he should ignore what is happening. And that's one way of dealing with issues. Dealing with them as if they don't exist. You ignore them. You allow the status quo just to continue. And David says, that's not the way I am called to live. How dare you tell me to do this? And the person who seems to be suggesting this in verse 2 says, look, the wicked bend their bows. They set their arrows against the strings to shoot from the shadows at the upright in heart. So the person that is telling David that he should run away, or who would have suggested that, seems to be saying that you need to live by what you are seeing. Worldly wisdom is living by sight. That's why the word look, as per the NIV rendering of that verse. See that there is wickedness. Be intimidated. Be fearful. And that is one of the responses that the devil would want us to take. But the second response, and the one that I would recommend, is what David actually started with in that psalm. He says, in the Lord I take my refuge. His confidence is in God. He is saying, when things are grim, when the outlook, when you look around and things are grim, you need to have an uplook. You need to look up to God. And later he says that the Lord is in his holy temple. He is with his people. And it goes on to say that he is in his heavenly throne. In other words, God still has the authority. He is the one who is in charge of the world. And my call to us today is put our trust and confidence in God. We cannot put our trust in people. Our trust should be in God. We should not go by what is happening around us. God will ultimately be the winner. Indeed, later David will say in that same psalm that he will rain coals of fire on the wicked, on those who are ungodly. But those who are righteous, it says that he will give them access. He says in verse 7, "For the Lord is righteous, he loves justice, the upright will see his face." When God says, or when David is saying that they will see his face, but the God who loves justice, then he is saying you will have access to God. To see the face of God is to have access to God and have access to all that is his power, his authority, and we will be winners. And I want to suggest that if you are a Christian, this is a time then that we need to put our confidence in God and look up to him, because we will be winners. Despite all that may be happening around us, let us not forget God. Let's hold on to him. My name is Karita Mbagara. I am delighted to share with you this message. If it's a blessing to you, share it with somebody else. And see you next time when we put out a video.